My name is Alina. I am 24. I live in a quiet city. I work in an office and I get tired of the same days. I like calm evenings, warm tea, and plans that work. That evening, my plan did not work at all. I missed my train by a few seconds. I watched the doors close and the train move away like it was angry at me. The air was cold and wet. Not real rain, but enough to make everything feel heavy. I looked at the screen. Next train in 40 minutes. 40 minutes felt like a punishment. People stood around me, looking bored or annoyed. I put my small suitcase near my feet. I had a work trip the next day, only one day, but I packed too much, like always. I sighed and stared at the rails. Then I heard a calm voice near me. Bad timing. I turned and saw a man with a cup of tea. He wore a scarf in a neat way, like he had time in his life. He did not smile too much, just a small, polite smile. Yes, I said. Very bad timing. He looked at the screen and nodded. 40 minutes is cruel. I laughed a little, even though I didn't plan to. Exactly. Long enough to feel wasted. He said, I'm Mark. I'm Alina. We stood there and talked. It was easy, and that surprised me. Mark told me he likes old cameras. He fixes them and sometimes sells them. He said film photos are special because you must choose the moment. You cannot take 100 shots fast and hope one is good. You must wait and decide. I told him I buy too many books and then feel guilty because I don't read them fast enough. Mark said, that is not guilt, that is hope. It was a simple line, but it made me smile. My bad mood became smaller. When the train finally came, people moved fast to the doors. Mark looked at me. You get on this train? He asked. Yes, I said, and then I asked, you too? He shook his head. No, my train is on platform 5. I blinked. Then why were you here on platform 4? He hesitated for a moment, then answered, honest and quiet, because you looked like you needed someone near you. My heart felt warm in a stupid way. I wanted to say something smart, but I only said, that's weird. He smiled. Maybe, but I wanted to do it. The doors opened. I picked up my suitcase and stepped inside. Before the doors closed, I looked back. Mark lifted his hand. No big wave, just a small goodbye. The train started moving. I looked through the window. Mark stayed there. Then my train passed platform 5, and I saw him again. He was already there, exactly where he said he would be, holding his tea with both hands. He looked up, saw my train, and lifted his hand again. It felt silly, but I liked it too much. I told myself I would forget him, but I didn't. 2 days later, after work, I reached into my coat pocket for my phone and touched paper. A small note, folded neatly. I opened it. If you ever want to see how winter looks on film, Old Land's Camera Shop, 1730. Mark. I stared at it in my kitchen with a cup of tea, confused and a little nervous. How did he put it there? Then I remembered the crowd at the station and how he steadied my suitcase for 1 second. He must have slipped the note into my pocket then. It was bold, but also careful. He did not take my number. He did not push. He gave me a choice. The next day, at 1725, I stood outside a small shop with foggy windows and warm light inside. The sign said Old Lens in old gold letters. My hands were cold. My stomach felt strange. I stood there for a few seconds, then pushed the door. A bell rang. Mark looked up from behind the counter. His face changed when he saw me. He looked honestly happy. You came? He said. I came, I answered. But I'm still careful. He nodded right away. That's smart. I worried you'd think I'm a serial killer. That was option 2, I said. He smiled. And option one? That you're strangely nice. He laughed softly. I'll take that. He offered me tea, real tea, not station tea. I said yes. While the kettle boiled, I looked around. The shop was small, but full of cameras, lenses, old cases, and tools. It smelled like metal, dust, and something warm. Mark gave me a cup. It was hot and tasted like lemon and honey. I relaxed a little. Want to try film? He asked. I don't know anything, I said. That's okay, he replied. Film is simple. People make it hard. He picked up a small silver and black camera and placed it in my hands like it mattered. It was heavier than my phone. It felt real. He showed me how to hold it, how to focus, how to wind the film. Then he said, let's go outside. Winter is waiting. Outside, the street was wet and bright under the lamps. People walked fast with umbrellas. Mark walked beside me, not too close, not too far. He pointed at small things and said, don't take photos because you must. Take photos because you notice something. At first, I noticed nothing. Then I noticed everything. A cat under a car. A couple sharing one umbrella. Warm light from a bakery window. Steam from a vent like a little cloud. I took a few photos. Each. A month passed, and winter became softer. The snow no longer felt sharp and cold. It felt quiet, calm, like it was watching us. Mark and I began to see each other almost every day, but nothing felt rushed. That surprised me the most. I was used to plans, schedules, fixed outcomes. With him, things moved slowly, and somehow that felt safer than control. One evening, I stayed late at the office. Deadlines, emails, the usual noise. When I finally walked outside, the sky was already dark. My phone battery was almost dead. I felt that old, tired feeling in my chest, the one that made everything look gray. Then I saw him across the street. Mark stood under a lamp, hands in his coat pockets, pretending not to look nervous. You said you had a hard week, he said when I crossed to him. So I thought maybe you shouldn't walk home alone with it. With what? I asked. With all of it, he answered simply. No big speech, no dramatic gesture, just presence. We walked without speaking much. Our steps matched naturally. The city lights reflected on wet pavement. I realized something strange. When I was with him, I didn't feel the need to perform. I didn't need to be impressive or efficient or strong. I could just be tired. And that was enough. A few days later, I found something in the camera shop. It was an old photo pinned behind the counter. A younger Mark stood beside an older man. They both held cameras. They looked similar around the eyes. That's my father, Mark said quietly, when he noticed me looking. He started this shop. You didn't tell me, I said gently. He shrugged. I don't tell many people. He passed away 3 years ago. I almost sold the place after that. But you didn't. No, he said, because this shop isn't about cameras. It's about moments. He taught me that. His voice changed when he talked about his father. Softer, deeper. I stepped closer to him. Why didn't you sell it? I asked. Mark looked at me for a second too long. Because I was waiting for something that made it feel alive again. My heart reacted before my mind did. I looked down at the counter, pretending to examine a lens, but I felt his words settle inside me. That night, after I went home, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying small things. The way he stands a little sideways when he listens. The way he watches people carefully before speaking. The way he never interrupts. I realized that what drew me to him wasn't romance like in movies. It was steadiness. The next weekend, he asked me to take the train with him. Where? I asked. You'll see. This time, I didn't miss it. We sat by the window. The countryside outside was white and open. The world looked simple from that distance. Mark didn't talk much during the ride. He looked thoughtful. After 40 minutes, we stepped off at a small station with almost no people. We walked 10 minutes until we reached a frozen lake. The surface looked smooth and endless under pale sunlight. My father used to bring me here in winter, Mark said. He'd say, "Don't rush onto the ice. Stand and listen first." To what? I asked. To the silence. If you can't hear the cracks, you shouldn't step forward. I understood it wasn't only about ice. We stood side by side, looking at the lake. I felt the cold air on my cheeks, but I also felt warm. "Alina," he said, and his voice was steady but serious. "I don't want to rush this. I like you, a lot, but I want to build something that doesn't crack." I turned to him. His face was open, honest, almost vulnerable. "I'm not good at chaos," I admitted. "I plan too much. I worry too much." "That's okay," he said. "I'm not chaos." We both laughed softly. Then he added, "But I also don't want to just be a beautiful winter memory." His words stayed between us in the quiet air. "You won't be," I said before I could overthink it. On the way back, I felt different. Not dramatic. Not overwhelmed. Just certain. Spring came slowly. Snow melted into small rivers along the streets. The first green leaves appeared. Life moved forward. One evening, months later, I stood again at platform 4. Same place. Different season. I wasn't late this time. I was early. Mark stood beside me, holding 2 tickets. "Where are we going?" I asked. He handed me 1 ticket. "Anywhere. We'll decide when we get there." I smiled. 40 minutes? I teased. He shook his head. "No punishment this time." The train arrived. The doors opened. We stepped inside together. As it began to move, I looked at him and realized something simple and strong at the same time. That missed train wasn't bad timing. It was the first correct moment in a long time. Sometimes life doesn't change with fireworks. Sometimes it changes quietly. A platform, a cup of tea, a man who chooses to stand next to you, and a woman who finally chooses to stay.